Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Next Perfect Step, where I'm your co host, Laurie Mullen.
And I'm your co-host, Lori Tremblay. Welcome to the second episode of our discussion about unidentified flying objects, or what is now known as UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, which is a little bit harder to say. But we've been talking about channeling with Bashar, his message from Sedona. This is part two. I wanted to just talk about who Bashar is. Bashar is a physical extraterrestrial, a friend from the future. This is from his website, who has spoken for the past 37 years through the channel Daryl Anka. Last episode, I had mentioned, I was trying to say 40, but the audio sounded like 4 years. So it's actually closer to 40 years that he's been channeling. He has brought through a wave of new information and clearly explains in detail how the universe works and how each person creates the reality that they experience. Over the years, thousands of individuals have had the opportunity to apply these principles and see that they really work to change their lives and create the reality that they desire. So Daryl Anka channels Bashar, and on a range of topics, mostly helpful topics about how we can experience our reality in a new way. And he understands that most of us are diverse. We have numerous belief systems. So he's trying, Bashar helps in ways that we can universally apply these principles in our lives to better ourselves. So this is just something that we've enjoyed listening to. It's enlightening, right, Lori, to hear the the thoughts that are coming through, the different ideas that kind of expand our thinking.
That's what I
I
loved about it was that it just gave me such aha moments and created this excitement into me to dive deeper and question more things that I hadn't even thought of or didn't even want to. And as the weeks have gone by since listening to this um, and us talking about it, I've discovered that this has sent me in a direction of asking even deeper questions and thoughts about myself. So as I looked at what I thought our flaws was as a society, I started realizing that I had some of the same flaws inside of me. Well, and I didn't really want to see that, but I was able to discover where I was hiding those parts of myself. And um, it wasn't pleasant at all. I went from being really, really excited um, to then this opening up this creative thought within myself. And now coming on this side of it, of being able to see it and diving deeper into those questions, I'm actually really happy that I got that. But, that one conversation about, open contact has just created such a shift inside of me. And I've got to see not only as a society, but what was inside of me and connect the two together. Um, as I wanted to see where we were going as a collective, as I started asking those questions, like where would we be headed after open contact? Where do I want to be going? I got to discover what I wanted that with inside myself. I started asking those deeper questions, like where do I want to go? How do I want to be in the world? And so that was very interesting. And that all came out of this just one topic, this one conversation that was had, that I've got to go on this like amazing journey, which wasn't all pleasant either. Discovering all those things about myself, questioning things about myself, wasn't extremely pleasant. It was uncomfortable. And it made me think about what we talked about as the oracle statement, right? The statement the oracle made about the dark night. And maybe this is the dark night, was just that journey that I talked about, right? It was discovering that there were questions to ask deeper. It was discovering what those questions were and where they were hiding inside of me and where I wanted to go. So we'll come back to that. I want to talk more about that oracle statement, but that just kind of came to me as I was thinking about my journey in these last couple weeks, just from our one conversation we started off on, you know? And so I'm sitting here thinking, what is this all about? What is this journey that I've been discovering in the last couple weeks all about? And Lori sent me a video of another channeler that we listened to cry on. And in that, he talked about a Christmas train that goes around the Christmas tree in a circle, right? And it's the same circle over and over and over again. And we know everything about the circle. We know the scenery. We know where we're headed. We know what we're doing. We know what we're going to see. It's the same circle over and over and over again. We know how to react to it. We know what our thoughts are on it. We know what our beliefs are on it. It's the same view over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there is a track that goes in a different direction. And suddenly we get to see a whole new view. We get to discover all new things. And it's really exciting, which is exactly how I felt after I listened to the Open Contact in Sedona. I was super excited. And then I went on this journey, and what I discovered about myself was that I have no idea where this new train is going, where this new track is going on the train. And I started to fall back into old patterns. And I turned around and I looked and was like, I know that direction. I don't know how to do this direction. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know what's going to happen from going in this direction. And so I turned around. And in the last couple weeks, I've noticed that I started falling back into old patterns. I started reacting the way I used to react to things. I started with self-doubt. I got to discover something else about myself. Was I consider myself a fabulous multitasker. I can multitask like no one's business. I have mastered the art of multitasking. And I actually had pride myself on that for a long time. I thought that was a really good quality. And I've come to realize in the last 2 days that that's a really bad quality. Or it's not that it's a bad quality, it's one I don't want. I'm not present. I'm too busy. I'm scattered. I cannot stay in the present moment. I can't stay long with a thought. I am not present with people talking to me. And even when I try to get really present with people talking to me, I'm thinking, I'm thinking about something else at the same time. Yes, I'm still listening. Yes, I still hear you. Yes, I care. But I'm also thinking about other things, which means I'm not really present. And so I got to discover that about myself.
That's kind of something that's taught to us, don't you think? That like you have to be, superwoman or superman. You have to do all these things and accomplish all of these things. And if you don't, you're not good enough. And that's the opposite. Like you were saying, you want to be present. You want to be slow yourself down, be in the present moment. We're taught by the spiritual masters to be in the moment, to be. And I think that we can give ourselves, Lori. Thank you. But yeah, I appreciate what you just said. I think you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Having trouble there for a second. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I know that we really wanted to talk about, the subjects we had first started on, but it was just really eye-opening to discover all these things. And I think that it's almost the point of it, right? I mean, he talked about how really the experiment was about our reaction
Right.
to his statement. And so the whole conversation has been in the last couple of weeks this discovery of my reaction to all of it, the excitement, the highs, the lows, the in-betweens. And yet, as I, you know, was uncomfortable and almost saddened, like I went through this sadness about being in the low, about the self-doubt and about questioning myself, before I realized what I was actually doing, going back to my old patterns, because that's what I knew, that I now get to realize that that part of the journey, or that part of getting to see that, was just as high as the excitement. It was just as important as the excitement.
Great point. Yes. I love your story about the illustration about the tree and the train, because we are so used to seeing our track. We're so used to seeing the same scenery, the same scenarios, all of that. So thinking about going forward into new unexplored territory that we've never experienced ever when we have open contact with our cosmic family is going to be just mind blowing, I think. And who knows what'll happen, within us to expansion of our perspectives, our new information that we'll get, maybe new ways of being. I've also heard from, I think it was Cryon's channeling through Lee Carroll, that we're going to be experiencing differences in our physical bodies, which are changing and upgrading now, starting now. So, I mean, that's a lot. All of that expansion is exciting and a little scary. Yeah, I would say, because we don't know. I mean, anything that's unknown is usually a little bit frightening, but also very exciting.
It is exciting. And um, I've also, in thinking, realized that I don't need open contact. I don't need this to happen in order to do this exploration, in order for us to advance. Either way, this conversation has opened all of this up for me. And I think that it can benefit too. I'm not for it or against it. But I also think that we're capable too. I I'm excited, and yet I'm not both feet in, I guess. There's part of me that doesn't think it's just going to be kumbaya. I mean, I think that there's some point of realistic, we don't know, right? And so I don't want to go in with that it's all going to be positive. I think that there will be some adjustments for us with open contact.
Right? We don't know. So,
Right, right.
but I think I heard somebody said once, it was I think it was pretty wise, that keep your own counsel. Like, you have the right to decide how you feel and how you feel about a person or an entity or anything that comes into your field. We're constantly learning and constantly growing in that way, and expanding our senses of, is this right for me? And I also heard that our intuition is also going to be not something that we develop per se, but that is going to just be available to us. Like, we'll be able to know, be led in the right direction for us. And so, again, remembering who we are, that we're magnificent spiritual divine beings that have this whole access to knowledge and wisdom within ourselves. So we don't have to, like you said, you don't really need open context, but I think if we just keep trusting on the train that we're going on to a new and explored pathway, we're going together. We're all going to be in this together. So it's going to be interesting. I absolutely, there's not all going to be, um, everything's going to be perfect. It isn't now. There's contrast and there's falling apart of old ways that are going to be, people are going to be experiencing this completely different according to their own reality, right? How they see it, how they're perceiving it, what their ideas are. So it's definitely a space exploration inside and out.
Absolutely. And that's what I think. Like I said, I'm not for or against. I just want to allow this to be what it is. And I think it's a great lesson in allowing, right? Allowing whatever comes to come. I think, like you said, it's going to be people's reaction based on where they are and their own belief systems, which, um, I think there'll be many positive things to it too. Um, it's that whole, as I said the last time, was I always thought about, like, they're here to help us and they're here to, bring us new technology and new ways of thinking and new ways of being and expanding. And when we started having this conversation, I had to explore something I had never thought of, which was they would actually not just drop all this information off and leave, on kind of like the stories we've heard in the past, right? Like, some people believe that the pyramids were made by aliens, and they came, they did that, and then what, they left because they're not open, right? So I guess I kind of looked at it from that old story. And now I have to look at it and dive deeper into what it would mean for them to stay and for us to actually merge as a society, to create a new society. And what's that going to look like? And what's that going to mean? And we don't know, right? We have no idea. So how can we even come up with the thoughts and the thing? So we just have to allow, right? We have to allow to let it evolve how it's supposed to. And we have to do the work now on ourselves to show up in a space where it benefits all of us. Because if I show up right now, for me personally, I'm talking for me personally, and I just talked about my journey, is if I had showed up right now after the huge excitement, I would have been completely reacting off all my own patterns. If I hadn't taken the time to discover and now want to move forward and learning a new way, I need a new way to do this. I need to allow, and I think that's some of the intuition like you were talking about that's going to come online for me. As I realize that I need to get really present and start allowing that I don't know how to do this. I've never seen this scenery before. I don't know how to react in a new way. That I will just be, it will just come naturally. It will come. So I've seen it. I've seen evidence in it. I'd like to share a little personal story. I used to be, when we had our interview, I talked about how I've had a difficult relationship and I was very codependent. I was emotionally very codependent. And I used to demand my family to react certain ways to make me happy. And for my son's birthday, we took him to the Boston College football game, which is one of his favorite teams. And there was an incident, did not go as planned. It was really bad. Well, it wasn't really bad. It wasn't really bad, but it seemed like it was really bad, right? And I was very upset and very angry at my husband. And A kind of had set the mood for everybody else. We were all sitting there watching it, but nobody was overly excited at the moment. And later on, we went down to the concession stand and we had a conversation. We went back up. So, long story short, as I never make any of them, later on, I was talking to a girlfriend and we were talking about codependency. And I happened to tell her this story. And it was one of those aha moments where I realized that suddenly I wasn't emotionally codependent anymore. I had changed my reaction and my behavior. One, I addressed my husband completely different than I ever had before. I didn't approach him with anger. I just put out a blank statement that this is what I was unhappy with. This is not how we're moving forward. And this is the new way. And that's it. I did not go up to my children and be like, I demand you to be cheering as loud as you can be because I did this for you and I want you to show me how happy you are by reacting the way I want you to react. I allowed them their space to process whatever they needed to process, and they were still having a good time. They ended up having a great time and on the way home thanking me. But before, if they had not reacted the way I thought they should be reacting, whether they thanked me or not, I would have been upset, devastated, and yelling at them that they were not cheering loud enough, that they were not thanking me enough, that they weren't reacting the way I thought they should. And so it was actually really beautiful to see that I had created a new pattern. And that's the allowing it to happen. I didn't know how to do that. I had never seen myself do that before. And it just happened naturally. And it it was really special to go back and get to observe that I had done that. But that's the intuition that I think is going to come to us when we get present and we allow a new way to come.
I agree. Yeah. It's, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think we can all relate to things like that. Um, the, Another thing I wanted to mention was the last time we talked about the congressional hearings in November, the UAP congressional hearings. When I was reading about them, and it's pretty much the gist of it is that they're asking the government to um, provide more disclosure to Congress and the American people. Because they've also formed a UAP committee through the Department of Defense to do that, to do some studies, which I think is great because, as we talked about, this has been going on for many, many years with our cosmic family being here, helping with government or doing whatever they're doing. We don't know because there's not been disclosure. But hopefully now that this is interesting that the timing is happening now where they're asking for disclosure to the American people. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. And, as we start openly talking about this, it seems like more and more people are. Like, I know there's been a lot of people talking about it for a long time, but even more mainstream media. And it's becoming the more normal conversation. It's not
Right.
so weird and out there just to have the conversation anymore, you know? And I think that's wonderful. I think, like I said, this conversation for me, I just shared how much this has opened up for me. So just, listening and being open to the conversation could open up a whole lot for yourself.
Yeah, we'd really love to hear from you or our listeners. Like, how are you feeling about the subject? What's going on in your mind and your vision for the train that's going in a new direction? We'll be having a roundtable discussion, as we mentioned, which we're going to feature um, two or three or four people on the next episode with us. And that will be probably in January, right after
Yes.
holiday.
Yeah, right
And
after the holiday.
we're going to be having a discussion about with them about their thoughts on the subject. And if you have any questions or comments, please send them to us at the next perfect step at gmail.com. We would really love to hear your comments or questions and maybe um, feature you at some point on the show with us.
Yeah,
But
that
that's
would like to join as part of our roundtable too. Yes, please contact us. And we'd love to just have these more open conversations.
absolutely, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah. So, we just keep discovering more about ourselves and keep talking, right? We've got to become comfortable with talking about whatever subject or expansion that these thoughts bring up for us. And to sit back, like I said, to be in the present moment and to sit back and get to discover where this is taking you and how this has moved you forward. And I'm really excited about where I'm going. And I'm excited about where I am. Um, and as I said, this wasn't easy for me either. There was a lot of uncomfortable parts about looking at this as myself. I was really disappointed in myself when I saw myself going backwards to the circle because I was so excited about the new path. And now I'm excited that I got to see myself do that. And because I got to see what I was doing, I get to change and I get to allow
and
change.
that's wonderful. It's great to see your growth process, isn't it? Yeah. Also, I think that this is going to be the beginning of something that's going to take in linear time quite some time to unfold. At the same time, right now in this period of time in history, it is a great period of expansion, of rapid expansion, a rapid where the light's coming in and aha moments are going to be coming in everywhere. A lot of people are quote unquote waking up to a new way of seeing and being. So this is a very exciting time. It's going to continue. We're always going to be expanding and learning. It'll always going to be growing. Our souls will be blooming forever. So this is only part of it, but a very exciting part. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming up and also what's coming up inside of me, what's coming up inside of you, Lori, and all of you, all of us together, because we're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we need to talk about it, right? We need to expand together and talk about it and help each other through this. It seems like an uncertain time, but really it's just the uncertainty that we've never been here before. We've never seen this. It has to be a new, completely new way, right? For us to move forward and evolve. And so let's talk. Let's have these conversations.
We really appreciate that you're listening, and we hope that you can join us and send in your questions. And we wish you a wonderful holiday season and wonderful New Year. We'll be back in the first week of the new year. Do you have anything to add, Lori, before we say goodbye?
No, I'm just really excited for these conversations and to see where this blossoms us to. So
Yes.
if you like this conversation as much as we have, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, how is your intuition leading you to the next perfect step?